Welcome, everybody, to another episode of You Fascinate Me with Jamie Engel. I am your host, Jamie. Thank you so much for tuning in, making this podcast a success already right out of the bat here. And, last week's episode with Jake Wright, tremendous feedback. He was so very open, so very honest, so very candid. I can't thank Jake enough for such a great conversation. I've already listened back twice, just because I pick something new up every time I listen to it. And his story really does fascinate me in the redemption that he's had, and really I think his story can inspire a lot of people. But that was last week. This is this week. This week, tremendous guest. But before we do that, got to get the plugs out of the way here. You Fascinate Me Pod on Instagram. You Fascinate Me with Jamie Engel on Facebook. And you can email me, youfascinatemepod@gmail.com. So this week, I've got a very good friend of mine. Essentially consider him family. He's basically family without the blood ties there, but superstar NHL player from the Buffalo Sabres, Alex Tuch. We get into a lot of great conversation about his work in the community, his transition from Vegas to Buffalo, and how that's kind of gone, and really, the team dynamic that they're creating there in Buffalo, which is a great story. So I don't want to take too much time getting into that. I think the episode is going to be tremendous. The interview was fantastic. So sit back, relax, enjoy my conversation with NHL Superstar from the Buffalo Sabres, Alex Tuch.
It is now time for this week's You Fascinate Me interview. Take it away, Dad.
All right, welcome my guest, Alex Tuch from the Buffalo Sabres. How are you, man?
Good. How you doing, Jamie?
I'm wonderful. Let's just act like we didn't talk for the past 5 minutes. But, first off, I appreciate you doing this. Second of all, I pride myself on not being that guy that kind of calls in favors like this. But I will defend myself in the sense that when I came up with the idea of this podcast, the whole You Fascinate Me thing, you were definitely one of the top of the list, and not just because of your NHL career and everything you're doing there, but just some of the stuff that you kind of do off the ice that kind of fascinates me. But I mean, we can talk a little bit. We'll start off with some of the hockey. Where did kind of your passion kind of come from as far as playing hockey? Because I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think your dad really played, did he? He played men's leagues and stuff later on, right? But he didn't really play hockey.
Yeah, I mean, he started playing men's league, and my dad fell in love with the game, and he decided that he wanted to get me involved in the game, and he built an ice hockey rink in my backyard when I was 3 years old. But I originally started skating. I started rollerblading when I was around 2 years old because I saw my grandpa rollerblading for exercise, and I told my mom that I wanted them. I go, I want those. And so they went out and got me a pair, and every single day I rollerblade that summer, unless it was raining out. And then he decided, you know what, let's build a hockey rink and see how it goes. And he did. And I guess the rest is history. I just started skating right away because I was able to rollerblade, so I didn't need to push or anything like that. And I'm very lucky that I was able to, play at such an early age.
I won't pretend like I haven't known you since the day you were born. So, but some of my fondest memories were actually playing in that back rink. I remember it distinctly. So I've got this one picture. I think I've sent it to you before, where it's you and I. You were very small still. You were wearing the helmet, and you and I are skating in the backyard. And I've got my 90s frosted tip hair going on and everything else, which was tremendous. Now I have no hair, so it's fine. But one of my distinct memories is one of your neighbors was Tim Connolly, and he has sisters, and one of which played hockey, I think, right? And I remember just kind of skating around in your backyard with her, and I don't remember her name or anything like that, but I just remember thinking like how ridiculous she's like whooping my ass, like making me look ridiculous, and it was just.
She played college hockey too.
Yeah, it was burned in
college hockey. She was a really good player. Yeah, so that was another part of it. Was I was very lucky to not only play hockey, but be shown at a very young age that a kid from my neighborhood can make it to the NHL. So I guess from the time I started, there was never really like doubt in my mind that, or I guess more of the thought that it was impossible, because I guess a path had already somewhat been paved. I'd say that I took a little bit different path to get to where I am today than Tim did, but there was somewhat of a path out of Baldwinsville, New York, and I was very fortunate that was already there.
We haven't really talked about it much, but did he give you any sort of guidance, or did you ever go to him and kind of ask advice on any part of kind of your trajectory going up?
No, it was more of I guess he's just more led by example. He was 12 years older than me, maybe even more. And he had left home already. And once I started playing hockey, so I hadn't really talked to him that much, and I haven't seen him much around Baldwinsville in the last several years since I've turned pro either. So it was more of a lead by example, kind of just showing me that you can make it out of my neighborhood and out of Syracuse, New York.
So, I mean, obviously, you took the path of playing a lot of travel hockey. You played for the U.S. Team, the national development team. You kind of took that path, and then you went off to Boston College. You were there for what, 2 years before you ended up calling up. You were drafted by Minnesota in 2014, right?
Yep.
18th overall pick, am I right?
Yes, you are.
Wow, my memory's good.
You're crushing it today.
It's impressive, as exhausted as I am. So yeah, I mean, so you didn't spend too much time there. You ended up getting, I know when Vegas had the expansion draft, you ended up being a part of that in a way, but really got to showcase your talent kind of right away. Without kind of hashing too far into the Vegas stuff, most recently you were obviously traded to Buffalo. You had kind of built a life out in Vegas, and you're really a big part of the community. But I think one of the things that I'll go back to the name of the podcast, fascinated me was how well, and I guess it was no surprise, but how well you kind of handled the situation versus, I know you built a life there and you loved it there, but I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you saw an opportunity here in Buffalo to kind of be closer to home, play for a team that you absolutely loved. I mean, you were saying all the right things, doing the right things, but I know just from knowing you how genuine you are with that. Can you kind of talk a little bit about the experience of, building a life out in Vegas and then, coming to Buffalo, obviously, and really just embracing it?
Yeah, I'd say the first few weeks, people kind of wrote it off as, oh, he's just trying to say the right things. But I guess the longer I was there, and I bet even some of my teammates and probably some of the other guys around the league were probably thinking the same thing. Like, because Buffalo's got such a bad rap around the league, and as a city or as a place to play or as an organization, honestly, in general. And it was really sad because I was a Sabres fan all growing up, and I'm lucky to be able to be a Sabres fan again, like through and through, without a doubt now. But it was like a little bit of a homecoming. I always dreamed of playing for the Sabres growing up. And like I said, I was starting to put down roots in Vegas, and owned a house, and met my fiance there, and it was really starting to become home for us. But in a way, I was really excited about the move. It was a new opportunity. I had a lot more responsibility on the team. I had a lot more playing time. I think a lot more opportunity as a hockey player to grow. It was a little bit of a different atmosphere. But at the same time, I was lucky where I was brought onto a team that had great leadership, that was really, I think, underrated going in. I had already known Kyle Oposo a little bit. I knew he was a great guy. He's one of the captains on the team, and he took me in right away, texted me as soon as it happened, like, hey, like, can't wait for you to get here, all this stuff. And I felt like I was a part of the group from day one, and it was really just easy for myself. And it was also easy for Kylie as well, because some of the wives and girlfriends had reached out to her too. And just the whole, like, that whole dynamic that the Buffalo Sabres has, I think, is really underrated and really unknown throughout the league. Is it's like one big family. It's guys that take care of each other, and people. I've noticed that guys really do want to play there, and they really do enjoy the lifestyle there. They love being Sabres, the younger guys, older guys, everyone that comes through. And it's really good to see the culture really changing.
Yeah, I think that you hit the nail on the head with talking about the culture. I think when you and Krebs, kind of showed up, it seemed like there was a team mentality already before you got there, but it just seemed like you seemed to be the spark. And I know you're humble enough to, probably not go too far read into that, but like I personally saw a change where, you added to that already. You mentioned Okoso, you kind of added to that leadership element as young as you are, 26 years old, right? I mean, as young as you are, you've got a veteran kind of personality and really embrace the city. I think one of the things I read online, and I think I texted you about it too, but one of the things I thought was really, really cool and really admirable was tell me the story. I think you texted the GM when you first got there and you wanted to kind of come into the building and really just not meet just the team, but really everybody involved in the organization. Like, to me, that was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it was talking to the guys. I think they were really. I think this is like, I coming in. I knew that it's more than just the team. Like, to make it successful, it's not just about the players that are on the ice. It starts with ownership, and there's a huge trickle down effect, but it's not the ownership up at the top, and then you have the players, and then you have the coaching staff, and then you have the front office, and it's all separate, and it's all divisional. It's one big group that makes this thing go around, and I was able to learn from veterans in Vegas that really were able to take me under their wing and show me how it's done. Not even be like, oh, like Tucky, oh, look at this. Like, this is how it's done. It's just, they led by example, and that's what they did. And that's the type of people they were. And it wasn't, you can't, guys like that didn't fake it. You can't fake stuff like that. You can't, like Marc-Andre Fleury, he gave everyone the time of day. He never cut anyone off. He was always just the best teammate through and through. He really took care of the younger guys. He treated staff well. He was loved by the entire city, by the entire organization, by all of his teammates, by coaching staff, equipment manager. Everyone loved a guy like that because he cared. He was probably one of the greatest players if not the greatest player that I've ever played with. And he cared the most about each individual person. So to learn from a guy like that, to just be like 1/10 of the person he is, like, means the world to me. And that's kind of, I saw how much it helped the atmosphere and the culture in Vegas when he was doing things like that and leading by example in that way. That that's kind of the example I wanted to lead by in a way. But at the same time, I knew that it does take the entire organization to make the right steps going forward.
It's so genuine too, and I know you were a big part of the community in Vegas while you were there, and I think you've already become a big part of the community in Buffalo. I mean, before you even stepped foot on the ice at KeyBank Center. I know you were out in the community, meeting people and helping out different causes and things like that. And I sent you a text at one point and said, I don't care if we're 12 years apart and you're older than me. Like, you honestly are one of my heroes and inspire me. And it's not what you're doing on the ice, it's what you're doing off the ice. Like I said, I've known you since day one, and you're humble and you're just a caring person. But to see it out in the community, and I know you're not looking for the recognition or anything like that. You genuinely care about people in the community you work in. What kind of drives you to basically jump 2 feet in before you even hit the ice to kind of really just ingrain yourself in that?
I think it helped that it was kind of like my home team, kind of like my hometown. And I saw that not only like in the community, like not only as a hockey team and as hockey fans, it wasn't the same as it was years ago when I was a true Sabres fan through and through. I think they were missing that. So I wanted to produce as much as I could on the ice and help our team win as much as possible. And obviously I wasn't able to do that right away or even play right away. So I tried to make a statement in a different manner and really show people that I really wanted to be here, because I think that Buffalo is such a blue collar town that they want players that play that blue collar style of hockey, and that blue collar isn't just playing the style of hockey, but it's also doing the little things. It's also helping out those that are less fortunate. And I think there's a lot of people that do a lot of good charity work in Buffalo, and there's a lot of things that I think that I want to do as much as possible for, and I know our team does too. And obviously with COVID, everyone was affected, and people weren't able to get out and do as much. And that's something that I thought was really, I thought helped, was that I was able to. It wasn't mid-season. It was mid-season, but I wasn't playing, so that when the team was on the road, I can go out and do these. I can go meet with Roswell Park. I can go do these little things that a lot of other guys weren't able to do. And I count myself fortunate that I was able to even be put in that position to help those organizations. But I mean, it's our civil duty, you can say it, but I also think that it's the reason why God put me on this earth, is to use my abilities in hockey and use my status to help others that are less fortunate than I am.
Yeah, and like I said, I admire the hell out of that, and really, it's inspired me to kind of try to be better. I know, the company that I work for does a lot of that type of stuff, and again, it's not just for show, it's not for the PR, it's because we truly do want to give back to the community that we live and work in, and really help people that, like you said, aren't maybe as fortunate as we are. And like I said, man, it's inspiring. It's your generosity is second to none. I said this at the beginning of this interview. Like I hated calling in a favor, but what I really wanted to talk about was not the hockey, was the character that you kind of display, and the fact that it's not an act, man. It's true to you. And like you said, when you came over, there was a lot of talk, or a lot of, for the first few weeks when you came to Buffalo, that you were saying all the right things, doing all the right things, and that was just kind of a show or an act. And everybody I talked to, I made sure that I was like, no, this is, you may be saying all the right things, and I'm proud that to know you, that you're doing that, but it's all true. Like you're not blowing smoke just for the sake of it. I mean, you truly were a Sabres fan. You're happy to be. I mean, let's talk about the fact that you get to play in front of your family and friends every single week now. I mean, I remember that first game you came to Buffalo when you were playing for Vegas, and there was 450 of us that showed up, and now it's a weekly basis, man. You get to see family and friends. I mean, I'm sure it gets probably not as fun, getting text messages prior to every game, like, hey, can I come see you after? But it's got to be kind of cool, man, to be able to play in front of you, quote unquote, home town.
No, it is. It's really special. Like you said, it's there's a lot of people, there's a lot of texts and stuff like that. So I hope people aren't upset if I'm not able to see him after games, because I do. It is a job. It's not just like I'm going out there and having a grand old time and I can party it up afterwards and always grab a drink or food afterwards, because it is my job. I do have to take care of it and make sure I hold on to it as long as possible and make the most of it. But it is nice to have all the support and to see everybody come out and do it on a more consistent basis. I know everyone used to love coming out to Vegas. That was always a fun trip for people to put on their calendar.
Yeah.
It is a lot easier to just drive on over to Buffalo. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I was supposed to come out to Vegas for the first time when COVID hit and the NHL put the stop on it. I was supposed to come out and come see you play and come hang out with you and my dad and everybody. And yeah, that kind of got me. So I never got my Vegas trip. I still plan on going out there at some point, but it's
you gotta.
I have a little less motivation that you're not there anymore. So, but yeah, you're right. It's nice to be able to drive an hour down the road. I was so happy that I got to come to the game. Unfortunately, it was still during COVID protocol and all that, and I couldn't really see you. But to go to the game that you got to step foot on the ice for the very first time as a Buffalo Sabre, like that was, man, I had butterflies. I can only imagine how you felt.
Oh, I was nervous. I was really nervous for that first game. I got an assist and I was like, holy cow, that felt amazing. Like almost felt as good as my first NHL goal, but it definitely was. It was a special feeling. It was a special time, and it honestly, we were planning. There was a plan to play, like, I think it was just after Christmas, and then the whole COVID thing happened again, and then
Yeah.
I came back for a couple of games, and then I got COVID,
Yep.
and I had to miss a couple more games, and I was like playing catch up. But it was a fun season. It was short for me, obviously, coming back from my injury, but it was a lot of fun. I did it with a great group of guys, and we can really see the progress. And we towards the end of the season, we were able to go in there and just didn't matter who we were playing against. We would go in there to each and every game and be like, we can win this game. It used to not always feel that way. Even when I got there first and stuff, it was still like, oh, like we really gotta, like, it's going to be a grind each and every night to maybe get a win. And now it's like, hey, we can beat this team. If we play our best, we can beat them. It's not that we're going to win every game. No team ever thinks like, we're going to go 82-0, but we're able to go into every game and say, hey, we can win this game if we play the best that we can play.
You could see that. And there's a lot of Sabres fans that I've talked to, either people I work with or friends, whatever, that, when you got there, that first off, they were super excited, but second of all, they saw that spark and they saw that change as you guys kind of progressed a little bit, where you literally, like you said, you could go into every game with the possibility of winning, where you couldn't exactly see that before. And I'm excited for next season. I'm sure you are as well. You've had a freaking whirlwind of a last year. You mentioned your fiance, Kylie. I know I've said it before, but congratulations. I'm so happy for you guys. And
thank you.
It looks like she's been just an amazing support throughout this whole process as well. She was right in the thick of it, right along with you. So,
yeah, there was no stopping. There was no stopping at all. And there was, like I said, it was pretty crazy moving from Vegas to Buffalo, but she didn't even blink. She came right there with me, and we brought the dog, Teddy, and it was a little bit of change. I might miss the weather a little bit and probably the taxes, but yeah, everyone knows that part of it. But it's we are really happy, and we're really excited for our future in Buffalo.
Yeah, I was excited with all this COVID thing and not being able to go to Vegas and not be able to see you. I hadn't actually met her. I finally got to meet her the first time. It was briefly, but I got to meet her at the restaurant before that game. You made your debut.
Oh yeah, nice.
It was nice to meet her. She's very, very sweet, very nice. I look forward to spending more time with you guys, hopefully fairly soon. But that's awesome, man. I can tell just how happy you are, and you truly seem like, correct me if I'm wrong, it almost feels like you are where you were supposed to be.
Yeah, no, I am happy. I really am. And like I said, I loved my time in Vegas. I have nothing but amazing things to say. I was really sad to part ways, but I couldn't have asked to go to a better spot for myself personally. And I am really happy. I'm really happy with everything that's been happening in the last, what has it been now, 8 months since I've been traded, around there, 8-9 months. And
yeah,
I've been having nothing but a ton of fun, and such a great organization, and they treat us super well. And yeah, I'm really excited for what the future holds.
That's awesome, man. I got one last question. I try to ask everybody this, and it's different for everybody, but whether it's NHL, whether it's in your personal life, whether, it's business, whatever, what does success look like to you?
I'll give you two answers. Firstly is no regrets. Secondly is happiness, or when you're able to be content. I don't know. It's weird because I guess, like, on the happiness or the content is really, I guess, most people you never want to be content, but I guess it leans more towards when you look back on life and you just say, I didn't have a single regret, and you're able to leave this earth and really just say, I gave it my all, I enjoyed it, and yeah, I didn't have anything left in the tank to give.
I hear you. Like, I think maybe it's coming with the age, at the ripe old age of 38 that I am now. I've been able to kind of almost step out of myself for every once in a while and look at the life I have with
my wife, my kids, my family, my friends. And it's interesting when you're in the day-to-day grind, and then you just take a step back every once in a while and take a breath and go, holy hell, man, this is exactly what I wanted. This is exactly where I want to be. And I feel like just, in just conversations we've had and just, watching, and I think you're there. And I love you like family, and I wish you nothing but success. I can't wait to see you. And I couldn't appreciate you doing this anymore.
Right. Love you too. It's my birthday brother, my cousin. Thank you for everything and all the support. And thanks for having me on, buddy.
I am back after what was a tremendous interview with my good friend, my family, my brother, Alex Tuch. I mentioned this a few times on the episode. I feel like I'm kind of pulling strings by having him on here, but I genuinely love talking to Al. I don't get to do it as much as I would like to, based on my family life and his busy NHL schedule and off season and all that. But every time we sit down and talk, it's like we never stopped. It gets right back to normal. And again, I can't thank him enough for coming on here and doing this for me. It's great for me just to catch up with him, but I want to share a little bit of the Alex that I know and that my family knows. And what a great person he really, really is, and how humble he is, and all the things he does in the community. He truly does inspire me to want to do more. Really reach out and kind of do things for people that might need it. And he is a tremendous role model for any kids out there that are playing hockey or just in general. But again, thank you, Alex, for coming on to the podcast. I hope it turns out as good as you anticipated or wanted it to. But again, thank you so much for coming on. Man, this was another great episode, a fantastic conversation with somebody who absolutely fascinates me. And, next week we'll have another one. We'll have another great episode. You know what? I'm not going to just tease it. I'm just going to throw it out there. Friend of mine out there in Hollywood doing his thing, Phil Musumeci. I can't wait for that episode to come out next week. But remember, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. 5-star reviews. You Fascinate Me Pod on Instagram. You Fascinate Me with Jamie Engel on Facebook. And feel free to email me, youfascinatemepod@gmail.com. Plenty of room for sponsors. But again, thank you everybody for listening. I can't wait to share the next episode with you. Again, thank you to my guest this week, Alex Tuch, and we'll see you next week.